Nobody, no crime. Well, not on my time. Eyes are watching, giving victims a voice. Raise your voice from Delphi to Canton, and there will be no more botching. We might not be Dateline, but come along if you want a great time. Grab yourself a glass of wine, and let's talk some true crime. And hey, you'll even have an alibi if you collect evidence in red Solo cups. If your expert says it just did, you might have a problem. We might not be Dateline, but come along if you want a great time. Grab yourself a glass of wine, and let's talk some true crime. And hey, you'll even have an
Hello, hello. Good evening. How is everyone doing tonight on this Wednesday evening? How are we doing? Hi, Sherry. Good to see you. Good to see you. Hi, Mystic. How are we? So, I know I told you guys I wasn't gonna probably go live, but we had some interesting happenings going on with the case that we were talking about last night with Nolan Wells, who went out with his buddies for the 4th of July on the coast of Mississippi and ended up not coming back to the shore. And there's conflicting stories. Definitely some odd things going on. And there was a press conference today from the family attorney, Ben Crump, from their independent autopsy that they got. And is it a red herring? Is there more there? We're going to kind of just go over that and discuss it. But this case is, first of all, everyone deserves transparency in this case, and that is something that they have not gotten. So I think that needs to be front and center. And so we're going to hopefully see some things coming from the authorities there in Mississippi, coming soon, hopefully, because their autopsy was done, I think on the 11th of July. And so, maybe they'll have some answers soon, and the public kind of getting on the train of, hey, we want some answers. We want an actual independent investigation will push them to do it because, everybody deserves that. So basically they pull this up here on my phone. I was getting some mixed signals. I know yesterday I kind of said I wasn't the biggest fan of Crump. And I think today is an example of why I'm not the biggest fan of him. He said some things that ended up not being super accurate. Now, whether it was because he misunderstood, whether it was because the information was not presented to him accurately, it's kind of being made a big deal now by the Cajun Navy. We watched a interview with them last night, and that guy is kind of calling Ben Crump out because he said, hey, listen, we never stated that Nolan, uh, thanks, Thomas. Hey, Amy Boston, how are you? So he kind of stated, well, he didn't kind of, he stated in at the presser that Nolan was found face down with fully closed. Now, Cajun Navy is saying, hey, we never told you that. So we don't know why you're saying that. That was never the information that was given to you from us. And, kind of coming at him a little bit too hard. I feel like it's really, correct the record. And it felt a little personal. I wasn't a big fan of the guy that was on, from the Cajun Navy either. But I need a little bit more like preciseness from an attorney speaking at a presser. He misspoke a lot, actually. And so that's, I think, my frustration with him. I think he really does bring awareness, and he has done a really good job on a lot of cases, but it's not always consistent in my opinion. So he kind of, I don't know, it's a little convoluted. I feel like the public after that presser and all of that. Yeah, Courtney, Nancy used to be a lot better, and she's not so accurate anymore. And it kind of hurts me. I used to be a Nancy fan back in the day, but her reporting is not, very accurate these days. So I didn't watch the full interview of the guy, but I was reading like his tweets and stuff, and he was definitely coming hard at him. But hi, Kristen. Thank you so much. Thank you. I know it's late. I wasn't even going to stream, but I figure we will do it because I've been keeping up with it today. And so we'll just do a little brief synopsis and talk about it for a little bit. But thank you so much. Thank you, Kristen. So he kind of misspoke on some things, and because that was something I hadn't heard, was that he was fully clothed. So when I heard him say that, I was like, okay, that's another weird incident that you're saying happened. Like, okay. And then we come to find out that's not exactly what was said. Now, again, I don't know the specifics of that, but in his swim trunks, not exactly fully clothed. So that, words matter. And yeah, Holly, you're not wrong. You're not wrong. You're not wrong. You're not wrong. Hey Val, how are you? So it was interesting. So I felt like we needed to clarify a little bit. Now, I have questions. What's going on? Hello. Hi, Mitchell. How you doing? Okay. Thank you. Thank you so much. I was actually just watching Expert, and so that is awesome. We love the Expert here. So, you know what? He said he was fully clothed, but then the Cajun Navy guys who found him said no, he was basically just found in his swim trunks. They didn't give a whole lot of clarification, which was also frustrating. So, like, if you're going to correct it, let's give a little bit more clarification to it, and all of that. So, Tiffany, you haven't missed much. We just got started. Hello, Meatball. Hello, Experts and the Orange Hearts. Thank you so much. I was just watching you. Side Eyes. Hello. Hello. Kindergarten Cops. How are we? Thanks for coming over, guys. Thank you so much. So if you are new here, I am Lauren. I am a private investigator, and we are talking about a case out of Mississippi tonight. We're kind of just following up on it and diving into the latest that happened today. Some new things came out, so we're going to kind of talk about that. But thank you for the expert raid. And if you're new here, please hit that subscribe for me. I am very close to 4,000 and it is absolutely free to do so. So if you are new, welcome. We have a great little tribe here and we welcome you. Hit that subscribe and get the notification bell so you can kind of pick up on cases with us, whether it's talking Turtle Boy, Kelsey Fitzsimmons. We're going to be talking some Clancy. And right now we're kind of diving into this case a little bit more as we search for some answers and some transparency from the Mississippi authorities. But just a brief synopsis, the July 4th weekend, Nolan Wells, he's an 18-year-old, went out to enjoy the 4th of July. They're on the Mississippi coast. There is a place called Horn Island, and there's nothing on the island. It's basically just sand and bushes and really no anything there. You don't really do anything on the island. It's mainly like basically a sandbar where people like to hang out and drink and play games and that kind of thing. So, Excerpt says, I want to hear about the Blue Angels. It was great. Blue Angel show. Blue Angels down here is like it's really a whole week because they practice and they do their shows. And, every day you get their rehearsal, which is a full show. So it's great. But it is packed on the beach. So you have to get there super early. Me and my friend usually go and get there early for everyone and kind of camp out and put some tents up and everything so that they can come at like a more reasonable time. But we got there at 3 a.m. and apparently they were letting people kind of sleep overnight, which was new to us. We didn't know you could do that. So we got really lucky. We got like front row spot. So it was great. Can you say how cool that flyover was? I wasn't there for that one. Where are you talking about when he went, a little lower than normal? I was not there for that one, but it was, here's the thing is like the people that live down here in Pensacola, we know how intense the training is just to become a Blue Angels pilot. It's the best of the best. And then the intense training that they go through like every single day. I think this like the screams and like the excitement, it was because they came like, they came close to them. That's exciting. Like even when they come close in any part of the show, it's like people are like, yeah, and like it's very exciting. So I don't think that those like screams and yells were like fearful. I think they were like exciting. And so I think, yes, he closer than normal? Yeah, but like, I don't know. I think free number 3, let him fly. We all have like the utmost confidence and trust, especially in them. They're like the best of the best doing what they do. And yes, it is a treat. I didn't understand the treat and how big of a treat it was until I moved down here. And then I saw them fly for the first time. And it is really, really cool. And you don't get tired of it. Every time it's really cool. And you get to where you'll see a new trick that's in this show that wasn't in last year's show. And you're like, okay, that was a really cool addition. So we're pretty lucky. We get to, enjoy the beach and then have them practicing down here, which on certain days you can see on certain spots a little bit of their practices and all of that. So it is pretty cool. But yes, so speaking of the water, this case that we're talking about and kind of diving into tonight, Nolan Wells, 18-year-old athlete out of Mississippi. Him and his friends went out for the July 4th holiday to this island. We have something very similar down here, and it seems to be very close to what we have. So people just go there. It's like knee to waist deep water. You dock your boat, you hop out, you literally touch like literally like knee deep water when you jump in. And Strains, how are you, girl? Thank you so much. Strains Credulity gifted one Common Sense Investigator membership. Thank you so much. And to the person who received that, welcome to the family. Welcome to the tribe. Thank you so very much. So yeah, it's a very chill place. Now there's been some pictures that have circulated from that day. People are just standing around drinking, playing games, there's music, there's food, that kind of thing. So at some point, the boat that his friends and him came on having some engine trouble, allegedly, and so they went in, I guess, a little early to get back to the dock, and he had met someone allegedly, because there's two stories. There's the stories that the boys are telling, and then there's a girl that's kind of entered the picture, and then she tells a different story. So there's conflicting stories. Boys are saying they went, they were getting ready to leave, and Nolan decided he was just going to stay there because he wanted to talk to this girl more. So at any rate, his phone, his wallet, and his keys are on the boat with the guys. So they head back to shore. According to them, Nolan stays on the island. He was going to get a ride with someone else. Now, why he wouldn't get his keys and his phone, it's a little odd, but okay. So the girl is telling authorities and the family, I guess, that he said he was going back to the boat because the guys were leaving. So she's saying he didn't stay. So it's two very conflicting stories. He never made it back to shore, and his family put out like a missing person's call basically that night. When he didn't come home, they knew something was wrong. Also, he had been trained and taught, like, you go with someone, you leave with someone. You don't do that. So his family said this is weird. This is behavior he wouldn't do anyways. Hello, Meatball. Thank you so much for your super chat. Meatball says, I'll be listening while eating pizza and putting together a new desk. I'm intrigued. Ooh, yes. And if I remember correctly, you're good at putting things together. I'm so envious. I am not. Well, we will keep you entertained with the story. It's definitely got some puzzling pieces and things that need to be dove into deeper, and transparency that needs to be out there. So thank you so much, Meatball. So anyways, Miss VUSMC, hello. Good to see you. Good to see you. So never made it back to shore. They go out looking for them. The Cajun Navy gets involved. They're a very big entity that will help in searches. And that's amazing what they do. They are very helpful with search and rescue and locating people and things like that. So they went out, they ended up locating him 2 days later. Now there's conflicting stories. He today didn't really clarify and say, this is what we saw when we found him, which would have been very helpful in my opinion. He didn't do that, but there's conflicting stories. Apparently he was found face down in some water on the shore. That was also very murky. I don't know. And I don't know. It's weird. There's the communication on every party in this case is crap. It really is crap. No one is communicating the things. They want to correct the record, but not really. So it's very frustrating. Well, they had to give a little bit more backstory. One of the boys that he was friends with, that he went on the island with that day, that was on the boat, has a connection with the court system. His mom is a judge there in that county. So they're connected to local law enforcement, obviously, the DA, all of that. So it's a big conflict of interest that now their story is kind of being conflicted with the girl's story of events. And I found out a little bit more detail as far as when they found him. When they found him and they alerted the family, the sheriff came out, and it was about an hour later after that where the sheriff said this appears to be a accidental drowning, no foul play. Now, this is an hour after they found him. Like, you can't just assume that. You still have to do an investigation. That was not procedure. And so I don't know how much they really wanted to look into it. I don't know. All I know is they didn't really do an investigation whatsoever before he jumped to the conclusion that everything looks completely normal and it was no foul play. Now, that might be the case, and it may be a case of he drowned. Now, this is an athlete, an avid swimmer, a good swimmer. Hi Rhonda, how are you? So, can it happen? Sure. But again, this is an island that was packed on a holiday weekend. Now, we're also hearing conflicting stories about that. First, I think Cajun Navy said there was about maybe 200 people, which seemed not a lot to me. I don't know if they meant to say 200 boats. I don't know. Now, his friend has spoken out, the judge's son, saying that there was thousands of people, boats probably all around the island. So we're getting conflicting stories about that as well. They're wanting every picture that anyone took. And we know, like, young people, not even young people, I myself, I'm a picture taker, take a lot of pictures, and especially on, a boat out in the water. It's a holiday weekend. No doubt there's a lot of pictures that were on social media that people have on their phones. They're asking the public to share that and get that out there so that they can see if he's in the background and all of that. They have a few. And the picture that's been circulating is him, like, holding a drink, standing in knee deep water. It's not. This island appears to be very similar to the ones that we have down here, where boats and people go to hang out. It's basically a sandbar because you pull up to it, you dock. One, the front end of your boat is in the deeper water, and the back end of the boat is knee deep water. So you're not getting a lot of current on that. You're just not. Now, can that be different from spot to spot? Sure. But like from my experience on being like on those, and also just pictures that I saw, like, it's literally nothing. Oh, awesome. Thank you, Valhalla. I may actually reach out. That's awesome. So it's a chill place to just relax, and you're not going to be in deep water unless you want to be. There's just not that. No, you're not going to be pulled out. You're just not. Now, I don't know if the conditions are always like that in this place, but in my experience on the islands we have here that are very, very similar, there's no danger of that. So, at any rate, he is washed up on the shore. Now, sheriff is saying no foul play. It's obviously just an accidental drowning. Well, as you can imagine, any parent's going to be like, okay, but we literally, and that was another thing. They had to go get his phone. The parents, his phone was with the boys, like at one of their homes after the boat that night. They were able to track it, like I think with Life 360 or whatever. They went and got the phone, and they had the phone. At no point did the authorities want to look at the phone or anything. They just didn't have any kind of curiosity to do an investigation. Any parent is going to be like, wait, no, like, you need to at least look into it and make sure. Also, if that's true, if he did just drown and this was an accident, no one saw anything? This is a holiday weekend. This island is supposedly packed. No one saw anything. That is a weird, weird event for no one to have seen anything. So something, again, especially you're getting two different conflicting stories. Now, I have not heard anyone, and I didn't watch the second interview, but I watched the first of the friend and also the written article. He said he was drinking, but he appeared fine. I've not heard anyone say he was like shit faced or anything like that. Not heard it. Alcohol and water are not a good combo, but I haven't heard that even be alleged that he was, super drunk and whatever. So again, there's questions. Like I have questions. I think a lot of us have questions. Now it may end up being absolutely nothing, but you can't just assume it because he's in in water. I mean, we've seen it time and time again that how many times you see it like a spouse found in the bathtub and they didn't really just drown in the bath. Okay. Like this is, you have to investigate things. You just do. You have to. So now we're seeing not exactly fingers pointed, but people saying this is weird. And because the authorities and the investigators aren't doing their job and came out and said nothing to see here, basically, the parents are outraged and rightfully so. So it somehow turned into a race issue. Ben Crump got involved. Now, in my opinion, this is not a race case at all. I just don't see it. And so the only good thing to him kind of coming in is it is getting more eyes on the case. And I think that that's ultimately what they want. They just want the transparency. The family just wants answers. Now, Ben Crump's motives, I don't know, but he has done great things in other cases. There are certainly other cases that there is a race issue, like Ahmaud Arbery. If you followed that one, it's a horrific case. He did great work in that case because there was a real race issue with that one. This one, I'm not seeing it, and I've seen absolutely nothing to make me think that this was anything to do with that. But at the very least, it's getting eyes on the case. So that's good. Now, the boys are kind of getting defensive, but I'm only hearing really it's the one judge's son kind of getting defensive. Now, another thing, the boys on the boat did not attend the funeral. We had some really good discussion about that. Oh, sorry. Hey, Andrea. So was this in the Tampa Bay area? I'm correct. No. So this was off the coast of Mississippi. Can't think of the name offhand. Somebody in the chat will probably have it. I'm getting one of those aura headaches, and I don't know if you guys have heard me talk about it. It's like there's no pain involved, but my vision is a little bit like swirly. It's really weird. So if I don't pull up a whole lot of chats, that's why it'll go in like 20 to 30 minutes. But so anyways, it's off the Mississippi coast, and it's actually not far from me, really. So what were we talking about last? I'm trying to remember. Anyways, they're just conflicting. The boys are saying, everything was fine. Now, Crump is saying some other things like somebody has a video, and in the back of the video, you can hear Nolan talking and like yelling at someone to give him his phone back. Now, this hasn't been confirmed. It's just people are saying that. Yeah, boys didn't go to the funeral, which that's what we were talking about. Yes, thank you, Valhalla. So we had a good discussion about that last night, and Side Eyes brought up a good point. They probably didn't want to go because like they were going to be judged and scrutinized for being there, and 100%, which that wouldn't be super comfortable for them. But at the same time, like they're saying like they were best friends with this kid and all this stuff. So it's just weird. And I think ultimately they would be scrutinized. And that's just kind of how things are. And again, had the sheriff just said, hey, we're going to do an investigation, blah, 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 people wouldn't be, I guess, suspicious, really. Because that should just be a thing you do for any kind of death. That's how it works. And they didn't do that. So then now you have like them bringing out the fact that there's inconsistent statements with the boys and this girl that he met. So, anyways, they didn't go to the funeral, which, in my opinion, is a really bad look. It's a bad look on a lot of levels, but obviously they would have been everything that they did at that funeral would have been scrutinized. But to me, that's a whole lot better than them not going, and that speaks volumes, in my opinion. Now, that doesn't mean they did anything. I just think it was in poor taste that they didn't go. And I think they're being advised by people. So, they're young kids. It's not really on them, but I think whoever's advising them didn't really give them the best advice. It doesn't look good that you didn't go. And yet you're saying this is like your best friend and all that. It just doesn't look good. So the judge came out, his mom came out, made a statement. Again, why? You don't need to say anything. It's one of those like things like, people who try to convince, why are you doing that? That's usually like, just maybe sit on it, like wait. Maybe mourn your friend. I don't know. There's a lot of things that maybe are giving the appearance, and these kids may have done absolutely nothing. I said this last night. They may be victims of this whole thing and they just lost their friend. And there's certainly no proof that they did anything right now. So, yeah, and that's definitely a fair point. That's just the point that Side Eyes was making last night, and they would have been scrutinized. However, they didn't go, and like that to me, I don't know. I to me that's a problem. Like, and I'll tell you why it's a problem. And I think today it confirmed how I felt even more that that's a problem. So now this one of the boys, the 18-year-old, is speaking out. He went on a podcast yesterday. So that also confirms how I was feeling about it. Now, which is right. If you don't want to be scrutinized and all of that to go to the funeral, there's a point to be made for that, for sure, like for sure. But now you're going and putting yourself on a podcast, a video podcast. I think you think it's a YouTube guy for the world to see. Yeah, like it's just. But and then you're saying like, this guy was like, you guys were best friends and all of this. Okay, why weren't you at his funeral like 2 days ago then? Because you're on like a world stage right now. It's just not a good look. Again, you can tell he's being advised. And then this was, in my opinion, it's a PR move. They probably have some sort of PR company that they're working with. I just don't think it's slick. You don't, it's not a good idea, like, period. No, Side Eyes, just the one friend is the only one I'm hearing is like speaking out, and it's the judge's son. So the one that would have like some kind of conflict with his case is the one that is like going and speaking out. And now it's a very cherry picked interview. He doesn't get into like a whole lot of the specifics of the case. And you understandably so, but at this point, like, why are you doing it at all? It's just not a good idea. It's not a good idea for a lot of reasons. And that is like, even if you're completely innocent of anything, and right now that's how it appears. There's no evidence that he did anything. It's just not a good idea. And then it's definitely not a good idea being as you didn't even go to your friend's funeral, but you're going on a YouTube presentation, like a big platform. So it's interesting. It's just interesting. So we're gonna read some of that. I'm gonna try to wait for this headache to all the aura stuff to go away. It's already getting better, but so it's interesting. But we're gonna talk about the independent autopsy. Hey, Kazi G. So basically, they did the standard autopsy that happens. Now, my concern is, and I've seen this in smaller counties, I've even seen it in bigger counties. Did they know that there was someone in the court system that was with this kid? I don't know. Look, my mind goes to a lot of things because of my life experience with seeing things with corrupt towns, corrupt officials, and things like that. I don't know, and I don't have any proof that any like that is going on here, but my mind goes there. So I am a little sketchy just to make sure that a good autopsy was conducted in the first place, because just because you're a medical examiner, and again, I don't know if this was what kind of medical examiner. There's all kinds of things. We spoke a little bit about it last night. There's coroners that sometimes do them that aren't even medical examiners. And okay. Okay. So anyways, we don't know. We don't know the specifics, but they did a autopsy. Now, those findings have not been made public. Because this is in the media, I'm hoping that they will actually speed that up. Toxicology, if they put a rush on it, you can get it back in a few weeks. If you don't put a rush on it, it can be months. So who knows? And hopefully, because there is media scrutiny on this case now, it will come back faster. But they haven't released their findings from the original autopsy report. But because this is gotten the public's attention and Ben Crump is involved, Tyler Perry paid for the funeral. Very, very kind of him. Kaepernick and someone else donated the money to get this independent autopsy. So they had the results back today from that independent autopsy. And really, we didn't find out anything. Now, I just personally have questions for me. They had basically an unlimited amount of funds. Like I can't remember what he said, like over $100,000 for this independent autopsy. They're very expensive, but multiple celebrities wanted to cover that, and it was very, very kind of them to do so. So they had a huge, huge budget for this. Now, the medical examiner that they chose, I have never heard of him. Now, that doesn't mean that he's not good. I think Crump said he had 7 years as like chief medical examiner. That's not a lot. I don't know. All I know is if I had celebrities saying that they wanted to contribute and pay for it, we're getting the best. And we're going with Dr. Bodden, or there's multiple other ones that are right under him. I don't know, but they didn't do that. They used this guy, Dr. Mitchell out of DC. He might be great. I don't know. I just never heard of him. And, I think a lot of you who watch a lot of true crime cases, you hear names you recognize because they are top notch. Yeah. Dr. Bodden all the way. Absolutely. That's where you go. You want the best, you go to Dr. Bodden. So it's weird to me. I wouldn't have picked that. Now they might have picked it. Maybe he's wonderful. I don't know. All I know is he's not super wide known. So we got the results back to that. Basically, undetermined cause of death. manner of death undetermined. So the same things that we were talking about last night in the case that I was talking about, where I'd never seen that before, happened here. Now, this one is not, this isn't shocking, and it may not stay that way, which I think is a little, I don't know that everyone got that point because, again, Crump, in my opinion, didn't do a very good job at communicating a lot of the things today at the presser. So, what happens a lot of times is there are findings when you're doing an autopsy that you say, okay, this is weird. I don't know exactly what this is. So they send it off to another lab to do further testing to get to the bottom of more specific things that people have a special niche and expertise in. That happened with a section of the throat. So he said when they received the body, the section of the throat was not there. Good night, Rhonda. Yes, get some rest, sleep good. So it was not there. And apparently they didn't know it wasn't going to be there. And they didn't exactly get like, hey, we don't have the throat because this, and this, and we sent it out for further testing. And so I guess they wanted that information, which would be great to have. But a little bit more to do of that was made than really I think needs to be made. So this is like very common. And even the medical examiner who did the report put in his report, likely because they sent it out for further testing for some reason. They wanted to send this out to get further evaluated. And then they said, this is very common. But that wasn't exactly like the message that I think a lot of the public got, because they're just like, oh, it's missing a throat. Again, now because the throat was missing, they couldn't rule out strangulation, asphyxia. Like there's a lot of things, right? Like the hyoid bone's not there in the throat when you don't have the throat. So they can't rule any of that stuff out. They also weren't able to, so because of the organs in the first autopsy and needing to use those organs to perform the autopsy, they weren't able to do a lot of the tests that they would do in a independent one. So they didn't have those organs to dissect to really kind of do a second look. So they're going to be relying and hopefully getting photographs, video, any notes of those organs because they weren't there. They didn't have them to perform any more further testing on. And it's just, again, it's great if they did a great job on the first autopsy, but I don't know, that these things happen where they just don't do good jobs. And so I'm a little concerned that maybe that was a case and they're not going to get what they need to be able to make the findings 100%. So anyways, I don't know. They did say that there was a 12 by 8 section of the soft tissue that was red on the occipital bone back here, which is a large portion. Now, they mentioned that there's no way that the original medical examiner found this because they didn't dissect that soft tissue area by the skull. So it was when they kind of dissected it, all of that is when they found this place. Now, I don't know. What they did say is that there was no, basically no bruising, right? So the deep tissue and all of that, there was no bruising, no cuts, no anything that looked like he was beaten up or anything like that. So what's important is that whatever this red, and the medical examiner said that he didn't know exactly what this was. But what's important to decipher is that the red area that they found when they dissected the skin and the soft tissue there is not a bruise. It is not trauma to the deep tissue, which you would have if there was some kind of like blunt force trauma, if he hit his head jumping off the boat, which maybe, incapacitated him and allowed him to drown. So you're gonna have bruising. So whatever it was not the same as some kind of force or bruising. They don't know what it was. I don't know. I don't know if it's pooling of the blood. Sometimes when lividity, when a body is laying in a certain position, the blood will pool in that position and you will see dark spots. I don't know. I would have liked to see him say it wasn't lividity because, I think a lot of people were wondering, could it have been that? Now, sometimes putting bodies on boards, you can see injuries similar to that. I don't know. Again, I would have liked to see a little bit more on that. And so I don't know. Something I also thought was interesting, they didn't have the hyoid bone. Now, I don't know. There was significant decomposition. Obviously, he was in the water. I don't know, but with petechia, which is the strangulation and all of that, now your hyoid bone may or may not be fractured if you're strangled or whatever, but you'll have petechia in the eyes. So that's another way that they can tell if it was something like that. There was nothing mentioned about that. I don't know if they had enough of the eyes to do that. I don't know, but I would have liked to have seen a little bit more in that report, explaining that part, because I didn't hear anything of them saying they didn't have it. It's just a secondary thing that you look for when you're looking for signs of cause of death, manner of death. So, anyways, we basically didn't find out anything. Now, it is significant, I think, to some degree. There was something on the neck, right, that first medical examiner wanted to inspect further and send it out. Could that be something? Absolutely. It could be nothing. So that is intriguing for sure. But they dissected the soft tissue in all over his body. There was no bruising. There was no anything like that. So nothing was apparent other than that red spot, the 12/8 red spot on the back of his head. So I don't know. It's interesting, but that wasn't a bruise. And I think that I just feel like the lines were a little blurred with that. Yes, it's interesting because the medical examiner didn't know what it was, but it also wasn't a bruise. So it can't be trauma. So it's interesting, but yet, I don't know. I just think it could be a big red herring, and I just would have liked a little bit more information given to the public about it, because I think people kind of came away thinking that could be something, and I don't know that it is. Now, the throat thing, I would love to find out more about that, because that was somebody saw something to send out further. So that is intriguing. 2 days. They found him 2 days later. Now, they don't know because they didn't have, also they were not able to see with this independent autopsy. They didn't have the lungs, they didn't have the stomach contents, anything like that. So they don't know if there was water in the lungs. They're going to have to rely on the first autopsy report to find that out. And the stomach content, they don't have a time of death because they don't have that. So all of that, nothing really was found out with this independent investigation. Also, I would have, I don't know. Again, he might be a great, wonderful medical examiner. I just feel like I don't know. Did he tell them that these things were very possible to he might not be able to tell anything because they've already performed one, and because of the decomposition and taking dissection of the organs, like there might not be anything left to test. I don't know. But I don't know. I just felt like they were thinking they were gonna get a lot more, and it's like the medical examiner was not shocked that these things weren't there for him to test. So I don't again, it's weird, in my opinion. Now, I don't know what happened. I think there's a lot of things that don't add up by the people on the island. I think it doesn't add up that no one saw anything with that many people. He obviously something happened to him. So I think there's a lot of things that don't add up. I just don't I don't know. I think today was kind of a big red herring. We didn't find out anything. I don't think it was like nefarious. The throat thing's interesting. I want to know what they found when they sent it off, but I don't think anything other than that is really a large deal. And I think, okay, let's see. KY Grant, how are you? When I saw Crump's press conference, he said he had a shirt on when they found his body. Last seen without a shirt. Who put the shirt on him and was with him when he put it on? So KY Grand, this was something that I had not heard either. And I was like, what? Come to find out, Crump either misspoke, someone told him the wrong information, and that isn't the case. So the Cajun Navy who found him came out and made a huge deal that he said this because apparently, according to them, they never told Crump that. They said he had on, I guess, his swim trunks, but they never said he was fully clothed or had a shirt on. So they kind of jumped all over Crump for saying that. Again, he's not my favorite. He was reading the autopsy report. I don't think he had the slightest clue what any of that stuff meant. And I think he does a lot of good for some cases, but I don't think this is the case that he needs to be jumping on. I don't see a race issue. If there is, I'm happy to be wrong. Well, I don't want to be wrong because that would be awful, but I'm happy to be proven wrong. But I've seen nothing that would indicate that this is a race issue. Also, you kind of have to understand the information that you're reading if you're reading it on a large stage like a press conference. And I don't think he understood any of the stuff. And I just think a lot of it was kind of just to get it out there, which I can't even fault them for that because the family wants it out there so that they get involved and do an actual investigation. So I can't even fault them for it. But at the same time, I kind of want to pick it apart because to me, it just doesn't sound real genuine. And I don't know. I just think there was a big to do about really nothing today. But it's getting eyes on the case. That's what the family wants, and they deserve that. So I'm very conflicted about it, but I'm just not a Crump fan. I mean, he's done great things in like the Aubrey case and in certain cases that certainly is a race issue, but this one I just don't see. Kayla Granny said the Cajun Navy doesn't play. They mean business. They want to allow him to use them for his purpose. Yeah. They were not happy. Hi, Cashy. Say hi. Well, he doesn't want to say hi, apparently. They were like, we never said that. We never said he was clothed. But then they didn't exactly either communicate 100% the position that they found him in, or they also didn't communicate well. So I think they could have communicated better after the fact in like saying, this is how we found him. So there's just lack of communication on a lot of parties, especially when you're not getting transparency from the authorities and from the investigators. The people who have the information, I need it to be correct. And it was a big blunder that Crump said that twice. He said it twice at the press conference. And that when he said it, I'm like, what? That's odd, right? Like you put your shirt on probably because you're leaving. And then you're fine. So I'm like you. I'm like, my ears perked up like, okay, that's another odd thing. But then to come to find out that's not accurate. I'm gonna need for you people to like get their facts straight before you come like on a national audience representing your client who is a victim and having their son unalived or deceased at an accident. We don't know yet. So I just thought that was not good. And then the Cajun Navy, I thought they could have clarified how they actually did find him better too. 100% KY Granny. They are really, really good at search and rescue. And for the sheriff not to let him go at it. Do you know how? And not only that, I get irritated because do you know how many bodies they probably would have found from other missing persons when they conduct a search like that? It was so widespread. This is a huge search for Nancy Guthrie that I have no doubt in my mind that they would have found other bodies when the whole search for Brian Laundrie happened at that park. They found other bodies there. These are people are going places, being placed places like this. And so I just think it was so selfish on a lot of levels for the sheriff to not allow them to do that. If you didn't want them working where you were working or searching, good. Put them somewhere else. But they would have found some bodies. They would have had some answers for some families. So I just think that pisses me off a lot. Causey, hold on. Off subject, Chief McNarm from Stoughton was asked to resign. So she's out. Who is this, Causey? Remind me what connection does she have? Why does that not sound familiar to me? Tell me who she is. Okay, people are know who. I don't know who it is. Tell me everything, Causey. So yeah. Oh, Sandra Birchmore related stuff. Well, good. Anybody related to any of that needs to be gone. Farwell, good. Okay, that is great news. Good. That's town manager of Stoughton is behind that. Okay. I don't know how it's related to that, but I'm speculating it is. Well, that makes sense. Okay. Same department as Sandra. Okay. Good. All those people need to go. Like clean house on so many departments. Ugh. Yeah, that is good news. She's a good human and the chief. She has done a lot to fix the town. Good. That's good. But the police department. Okay. Well, that's excellent news then. We like hearing that. So anyways, okay, I'm going to pull up the interview. It's just the written portion. It's not good news. What's not good news? It's not good news that she was asked to resign? I'm confused. Oh, the town manager needs to go. I see. Okay. And they might be using her as a scapegoat. Got it. Like a patsy kind of thing. I see. All right. Well, then that's not good. I was thinking it was good, but now we're not. Okay. Hi, Maza. How are you? All right. Let's see. We're going to pull up that so we can read it together. I just find it interesting that, it's only one of his friends that is speaking out. Oh, wasn't the link? What? Just a picture. Okay. Let me find the actual link for you guys because apparently the one. Oh, here we go. Got it. All right. Also. All right. Oh, nope. Oh, that's so annoying. It's like a big old thing. Here we go. Maybe this is the article. Aha, found it, guys. All right. So let me share my screen. Mother. That's what a lot of people think it is. It's Association of Volleyball Professionals, but yes, that's what most people think when they see the symbols for for the abbreviated thing. That made me giggle. Okay. Share screen. Well, which is it? This one? I think it's cancel. I'm not sure which one it is. Let me shut one down. There's this one, there's that one. Okay, we're gonna get rid of that one. You're gonna get rid of that one. All right, guys, this should work now. All right. Share screen. Here we go. All right. So I just find it interesting because it's literally only the judge's son that's speaking out. All right. Add to stage. Oh. All right. So this is him, Warren Hudson. So the need to know thing here says Warren Hudson, a close friend of Nolan Wells, has shared details about what he saw in the hours before Wells' death. Wells, 18, died after the 4th of July boat trip to the Mississippi Horn Island, and authorities continue to investigate. Well, it's more like they started to investigate because they weren't going to. All right. So they're making a big deal. They're saying, like, speaking to conservative commentator Brandon Tatum. I don't know who this guy is. On his podcast, Hudson said that the island was covered with people and most were partying and drinking alcohol. Right. Now, it's a holiday weekend and it's, of course, that's any island, anywhere, that's going to be the case. However, what he says in this interview is also telling, where he said he appeared fine. So again, it questions as to if they're thinking like he was drunk and that's why he drowned, like, why didn't he appear drunk to people? Why, the island is covered with people. Why didn't someone see it? There's definitely weird things that don't add up, but there is not enough to point fingers at anyone. But there's two conflicting statements from this group of boys and the girl. All right, let's see. All right. I'm going to skip to like the parts that he's talking because this is just kind of going over the same thing. I think this is they weren't super clear, but I think this was the day of maybe of him, and then he has his friends on the other side of him. All right. So during the interview, Hudson said that Wells was eager to celebrate the holiday on the island. My buddies and I had talked about talked about it. He said everybody's very, very excited for the 4th of July down here. It's a big thing. It's a big deal. Hudson said that the pair were together the evening before. They headed out, staying at a friend's house before a larger group met up for the following day. He said 3 boatloads of people went to Horn Island on July 4th, describing it as the most popular day to be on the water. He went on to estimate that thousands of people were there in the area that day and that there were miles of boats all around. So again, this is a little contradictory thing from what Cajun Navy said. Cajun Navy said about like maybe 200 people, which I thought was low. Just having been on islands on holiday weekends, I thought that was low. So I tend to probably agree with him. I don't know the area, but just being on the water and having islands that you can only access from boats, 200 people sounds very low on a holiday weekend, or really any weekend in the summer, but a holiday weekend at that. So again, why didn't somebody see something? So it's very interesting. All right. As the day continued, their group just grew and grew, he said, going on to claim that most people in the group, including Wells, were drinking alcohol. Hudson, interesting, he doesn't say him. Not that I really expect him to, but also, why are you talking, buddy? You don't need to be talking. Like, stupid. Just don't. Again, stop. If you, and I'm not, this kid may be a complete victim. And it may be very unfortunate that the internet even knows his name or knows anything about this. But however, if the investigators would have actually done their job, this kid would have already been cleared. You know what I mean? So but why are you coming to try to convince people by doing an interview on YouTube? Just like mourn your friend. Like, stop trying to convince people. It's just not, I don't know, it's just not a good look. And also just not smart. Hudson maintained that Wells seemed completely fine whenever they interacted, but noted that there were others on the boat that day he talked with. I talked to Nolan a couple times, he said, but it wasn't like I was strictly sitting there talking with Nolan the whole day. Okay. So that's a picture of the island, Horn Island there. So, there's nothing on the island. People are just pulling up basically to use this as a big sandbar. It's a cool spot to hang out. All right. Hudson went on to speak about the depth of the water in the area where their boat was, saying that towards the stern of the water was about waist deep. So we saw a picture that's circulating around social media of people standing, and Nolan is in this photo. It's knee deep water. Their boat is right there, maybe a couple feet from him. So I think that's even generous. And again, it could have been the time of day with the tide, but the picture specifically that I saw, he's in knee deep water. So he said, towards the stern, the water was about waist deep, but towards the bow, the water was deeper. Yes, obviously, because that's how. Yeah. Okay. He added that the water was a little rough when coming back from the party. Okay. So that right there, I don't need that information. You know why I don't need that information? Because the water in the actual ocean, bay, I don't know what it is, has no that's to be expected. Also, how many other boats were coming back at that time? If you guys ever been in the water when other boats are going, the course of boats being on the same water, it's gonna make waves. I don't need that information. The water in the open sea is much different than on an island in waist to knee deep water. So I don't need it. I don't know why he's giving it. It's making me feel like he's trying to convince us of something, which he doesn't need to do. There's no need to convince anybody. It's just not smart. Just keep your mouth shut. Uh, remembering Wells as a joyful teen. See, this is weird verbiage for a 18-year-old kid to use. Remembering Wells as a joyful teen. Hudson said they grew up together as part of a very tight-knit friend group, saying that they became close in 8th grade when the pair would eat together at a local restaurant once a week. Although he said he didn't know Wells' parents, he maintained that they were still close friends. Nolan and I were still just as close, and he was just as close with my friends as anyone else, he said. Okay. Let's see. Okay, it says Wells' family has publicly questioned key details surrounding the death, including why he would have voluntarily separated from his friends. Hudson did not discuss how Wells became separated from the group. So again, he's not really providing a whole lot of information. Obviously, I understand why he's not, but then again, why are you doing an interview, a sit-down interview? It's not needed. It's not like, just why? Don't do that. Okay. Where am I at? Wells became separate from the group, instead focusing on the lead up to the island trip and their friendship. Although what was shared was only part of the interview. As their own investigation continues, local law enforcement who have said Wells' friends have been cooperating, maintain that they didn't initially find uh, indications of foul play or wrongdoing. Well, that's because it was an hour after you found his body, but have noted that the official cause of death is yet to be determined. All right. This is about the autopsy. So that's really it. But again, why are you sitting down doing that? There's no need. Mourn your friend. He's obviously a friend. I don't think anyone's contesting that. It's just weird, and I hate that. He's getting the advice. He's young. He's young. I just wish someone was giving him a little better advice. But because like I said, we don't. There's no proof that he did anything. Now I have questions, and I think his friend group and the girl both need to have their phones forensically examined because it will exonerate them or whatever. So, but anyways, if he has nothing to hide, he's coming on again. This is going to be used against him too. That he came on the YouTube show. It's just not a good look. I don't know, but it's weird. It's weird verbiage. Let's see what you guys are saying. What if he fell off the back and kids freaked out? Right. However, so my original thought is like, could it be something, an absolute accident where he hit his head? So that's ruled out because there's no deep tissue bruising of any sort on his body. So if he fell off, he just fell off and drowned. I don't know. He's an avid swimmer, a good swimmer, and an athlete. So that's weird. But to the latter point of your point, yes. It doesn't necessarily have to be like, hey, there is this big fight and like whatever. It could have been an accident. Kids freaked out, and instead of calling who they needed to call, they just decided to come up with a story and go, could it have been that? Yes. Could it have not been that? Yes. We don't know, but this is a possibility. That's why I think it's just important for them to look over their phones. If there's nothing there, that exonerates them and whatever. It's not fair to the kids either because they may have absolutely done nothing but lost a friend. So there's some things that don't add up that we need answers to. Junior says, I feel like it could be that the friends did see the victim stay with the girl and that the girl did see him go with a group of friends. Maybe it could be not the same group of friends. Absolutely. That's also a possibility. There was obviously 3 boats there and more people coming that they knew throughout the day. So that's very possible too. I don't know. There's a lot of things that don't really add up. Also, good on the parents because they went and got the phone, right? And because this department wasn't going to be really doing any investigation, they still have possession of the phone. That is also what makes me concerned is like, yeah, they're looking into it more, but they still have possession of the phone. Like they should want to put it through their own forensic testing. And maybe they do, but they're doing theirs first. I don't know, but it's just not going to look good. Say something is found, there is something nefarious. All this is going to look terrible at trial if they ever were to get to that point. Now they may not have anything, but Courtney says gives Murdoch vibes if after a legit accident. Yeah. We saw lots of drinking with that case on the water. It's just never a good combo. Uh, I don't know, but definitely some questions. Things don't add up. I don't know. KY Granny also agreeing that that's an excellent point. It was a riptide. People don't take their phones in the water. It's the Gulf of Mexico, steep dropouts out. So, summertime, I'm on the Gulf of Mexico. Riptide on that. Again, the picture I saw where he's in the water, calm. Places like that, we have them all down here. I go to them on weekends, on friends' boats. It's not the beach. So it's not. Now I'm very familiar with riptides on the beach, on the Gulf. People don't realize those things don't play. And absolutely, if it was on the beach, I would be right on board with the riptide. This island, you see the water there, there's nothing. This is why a lot of people, so for instance, the island, it's very much like this. A lot of families go there. They let their kids just play because it is so calm. It is very much like bay water, like the sound side of the island. It's not, there's no, not saying it never could happen, but first of all, I don't think that's ever been alleged that anyone was saying like there was a riptide. Also, if you see the picture that's circulating online of Nolan standing in that water, it's extremely calm. And that's been my experience down here on the Gulf. So, son, alcohol, teenagers, hormones, and a girl involved. What could go wrong? Yeah. Yeah. Yep. Deanne saying teens are attached to their cell phones. We all are attached to our phones. We don't know why he would have told them he wanted to stay and let his friends leave with his phone. Not only that, he had his keys there. So now, maybe it is a situation where you're not thinking clearly because you're drinking, but, having to Summertime's point, you're not necessarily gonna have your phone on you all the time, but if you know you're staying there, you're gonna get your wallet, your keys, and your phone, and you're gonna put it on whoever's boat you're going home with. You just are. You'd have to be really like drunk out of your mind to not think of that. And no one's alleged that. No one's alleged she was acting that way. So it's weird. There's some odd things. What if he was charging his phone on the boat? Maybe. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And that's, of course. And, girls, maybe we have the like waterproof little bag thing that we could take our phone, and the guy's not doing that. So, yeah, of course, he definitely would have left it on the boat. Yeah, and this is, this is the point that they were making today at the press conference, and I think there is something to that statement. My point is, I'm pissed that there was an investigation. This should be done no matter what color anybody's skin is. But yeah, I mean, any kind of a death, you investigate it as if there is possible missteps until it's proven otherwise. That's just how you do. So it's just not a good look. Not a good look. Yeah. Yeah. The riptides on the beach don't play. We have drownings here all the time from people who come out of town. They don't even know to be looking at the flag and what that color means or anything like that. and they're in the water, and then they don't know how to react to a riptide. And I mean, we've it's just I wish they would. I don't know. There's got to be a better way because we lose too many people each summer to riptides. But um, I don't think this was a riptide situation. But okay, interesting. One of the sides of the island is a very dangerous tide, per the authorities. Okay, that makes sense. That makes sense. So the one that where I saw water, super, it's flat. It's like lake water. Um, and it would make sense that that's where most people would try to go, right? Probably not try to go to the side that would be the dangerous side. My guess is probably no one was on that side. Um, there's certain islands like in Hawaii and things like that where that's the case and nobody would go there to hang out or whatever. So my guess is they probably all were at the chill water where it's just calm. Okay, so his keys were at a friend's house, not on the boat. Okay. So that is something that is not accurate either. Okay. Interesting. Okay. So a lot of things that are being said that is not accurate. Okay. As an adult while drinking, I'm always still touching my phone, my wallet to make sure I have it. Yeah, absolutely. I think there's a little difference though, like with being in the water. Um, but certainly like just drinking, absolutely. Um, okay. Google says that where they were, it was known for rough water and ripped currents. Okay. Um, maybe it could be that way. I don't know. All I'm saying is the picture I saw and what I've experienced on islands just like this on the Gulf is the water is very calm. It's like lake water essentially. Doesn't mean the tides don't rise and fall, but um and maybe I'm wondering if that is the part of the island that the other people were talking about. I don't know. People do panic. Yes, people panic. Don't know what to do. Okay. Deanne says we have a lake home and there is a sandbar that we go to every weekend. Phones, keys, money are all left on the boat. When we are in the water and one of our group leaves with the others, they grab their stuff. Right. Right. Yep. I mean, the only way that I can think that that makes sense is if he was just so drunk that he totally forgot. But the problem is that no one is like alleging that even. So I don't know. Yeah. Courtney says, I love that we're all talking about this. And then in a few weeks, we will most likely have different opinions. And now time will tell. Yes. I just think it is important to get the word out there and to keep talking about this case because that's one thing that I just think is awful. Like there does need to be transparency and they deserve an investigation. This kid deserves an investigation. The people he's friends with deserve for an actual unbiased investigation to go on because it can clear their name too. This is tragic all the way around. We don't have any information that is pointing the fingers that someone did something, but things conflicting stories. So again, that's why they're investigators. They're supposed to investigate it and it needs to be someone not connected to anyone involved. So this town needs to be completely removed, that department, and they need to have someone else brought in. Because the fact of the matter is, the judge who is a sitting judge in that county is connected with law enforcement in that county. And we've seen that. We see that with Karen Reed case. We see that with Aiden's case. It's a problem. That a unbiased, good investigation just cannot happen if there's ties like that. It just can't. Hi, music to the soul. Hi, Lauren. I wasn't expecting to see you streaming now, but I'm glad that you are. Hi, chat. Hello. Yes, I wasn't going to, but there was just so much that was coming out today on this case, and we had just talked about it last night. So I was like, you know what? We'll just go. We'll just do it. KY Granny says I walk off without my phone all the time. If my husband told me how many times a day he had to call me to find it, he loves me. He really does. But teens only when it's charging. Yep. Yep. Teens, they're always connected. But when you're on the water, I mean, even for me, and I take pictures constantly, like I will normally take my phone out, make my friends take pictures, and say, before we get like all gross and like wet and everything, let's take some pictures. And then I put it back on the boat and I don't touch it unless I go up to like get a drink or a snack or something that I may look at it. But like, you're not really, because you're just surrounded by water. You don't want to lose that. It's an expensive device, right? So JR says, I can see it going both ways no matter what I'm doing. I always have my cell phone with me. On the other hand, my partner leaves his phone in a safe place, especially when he's around water. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Oh, that's another thing I failed to mention tonight. Now, this hasn't been confirmed because investigators didn't want to do actual investigation. However, when the parents got the phone, Snapchat accounts, according to them, had been deleted. He wouldn't have deleted his Snapchat accounts, they're saying, which makes sense. I don't know what teenager would delete them. So that is also strange. Also, newsflash to anybody who is deleting accounts thinking that they're just deleted and you can't recover them, they'll be able to recover something. So, hopefully, but again, they're doing their own, the parents still have possession of the phone. So even having this accusation that like, hey, his accounts were deleted, the authorities aren't like, can we run a forensic exam on this phone? Obviously, that needs to be done. So they're doing their own, which good for them. But like, also like, they shouldn't have to. This is the whole thing. The authorities and the detectives should be doing their job. And that's, I think, their frustration. And anybody, listen, whether this turns out to be completely accidental, horrible accident of drowning, every parent deserves to have answers because an investigation, a proper one, was done. And that just was not happening here. So that's why now they're getting this out there. Let's see. Holly says, Officer Tatum. Yes, Officer Tatum just uploaded a video of Nolan Wells' friends that he was having with his retracting the actual steps and going out to Horn Island. Is this on YouTube? I thought snaps delete after X amount of time, or do you mean the apps were deleted and the pics? So yes, they do delete. Now, that doesn't mean that proper authorities and people like at the FBI and all of that can't recover them to people's phones. To like the normal person, they're gone. They can't necessarily recover them, but forensic examiners can. Not always, but most times they can. But in this particular instance, the accounts were gone, like the apps were gone, from what I understand. Yes, on YouTube. Okay. All right. Well, I mean, I think we can do that because it's fair use. So let's go over there if you guys want to. Do you guys want to go check it out? Yeah, they'll be able to recover it. Like, I know, I'm going to say, like, with the Karen Reed stuff, there was a couple maybe that weren't recovered, but for the most part, just because you delete it, like, doesn't really mean anything. So, but again, would 18-year-olds really know that? No. So, again, it's weird that they were deleted. Why would that be happening? Also, if he's like met this girl, you'd think that he maybe would have his phone to get her number. I don't know. Okay, let's go over there. Officer Tatum. All right, let's check it out. Oh, Broken Baker's live. Hi, Baker. All right. Let's see here. Okay, part 1. Let's subscribe. Is this it? Oh, interesting. Okay. Okay. So we're gonna play this, guys. So take a second, go over to Officer Tatum, give him a like on the video and a subscribe because we're gonna use his content. He's obviously going and doing work, going to reenact where it was, or we'll see, but it looks as though. So go give him some love and a like and a sub for getting this content. All right, let's see. Wait, this is part 3. Oh, shoot. Okay. Well, I haven't watched part 2, but let's go. I want to see this part right here.
On the boat, and you'll find out how many people were there.
All right, hold on. How do I make this bigger? Whoa, that's very big. Okay. Okay. All right, it's only big on that end. All right, can you I'm gonna mute myself. I'm gonna mute myself and then I am gonna play the sound and give me a thumbs up if you hear it. I just want to make sure you guys are hearing it before I play it and do all that. And you guys are like, I don't have sound. All right, let's go here. Mute.
That they're accusing wasn't even on the boat that Nolan was on.
If I'm sitting waist deep in water and all my friends are, everybody's leaving their phone on a boat. I open the back hatch and there's water up to the batteries. And that is obviously not good. Nolan decided to stay on the island with the girl that he was with. And the girl is a witness to that too.
Yeah. We're in Mississippi right now. We're getting ready to recount the exact path that the boys took, also with Nolan Wells, from where they docked the boat at all the way out to Horn Island and back. The boys are going to explain to me exactly what went on, how many people were there, how many boats were taken out, which I think the world is going to be completely dumbfounded when they realize what the truth really is, because the lies have been pervasive. So we're right here where Nolan left on the boat, and you'll find out how many people were there, how many boats. And then we're going to take that same path out. I'm going to go look at Horn Island and see exactly where they could have been to get a perspective that the media don't even care to try to do. And then we're going to take the trek back and we're going to find out exactly what happened to Nolan. This is the reason why I'm here, man.
So good for him. Good for him. And this is great content. So make sure to go give him a like and a sub. So it appeared now, if that was Horn Island that clip was from, that I will very much stand corrected. That appears there could be some rougher water. That is not the type of island I'm used to down here. So I could be very wrong about the possibilities of a riptide there. That looks way rougher than any of the islands here that I go, boating or whatever on. So I'm going to be very interested to see this. Let's check this out.
I want you guys to have a voice. I want you guys to be able to speak out and show what the truth really is, and then let the world decide. I just don't want you guys to end up in a situation where your story never gets heard. Right here is where Nolan and probably 20 other kids got on the boat. So it's not just Nolan and 3 other kids. That was a lie. That was a myth. I'm going to prove that. Right here is where the kids were docking, and we're going to show you a video that coincides. I'm going to walk at the exact angle that the video is being broadcast from, so you know that I'm exactly where I say I am. But the boys were here. Tons of people you'll see on the video is getting onto the boat, and they took 3 boats out. It wasn't just one. It wasn't just Nolan and 4 boys. It was a multitude of people on several different boats, and some of the boys that they're accusing wasn't even on the boat that Nolan was on. But let me.
Sorry, guys. I realized I didn't mute myself. There's probably an echo. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and say that Officer Tatum got this surveillance. Why wasn't this got from the actual authorities? I mean, again, good for him. Good for him. He's doing a better, thorough investigation than law enforcement is. This right here, this is great content. This is great evidence. So this is really good stuff. Make sure to go give him some love. All right, let's see.
Show you from the vantage point where I have the video to prove that I'm here where I say I am. And so right now, here's the angle that you're going to see on the footage. It's just from probably that boat to, maybe about 30, 40 feet here to the right. And this is where the video is showing how many people were actually out there, actually getting on the boats. So therefore, it debunks very clearly that it was only Nolan and 4 boys going out here to Horn Island. All right, you guys, sorry about the sunglasses. It's very bright out here, and I never wear sunglasses, but we're at Horn Island in almost the exact same position where the boys were, where Nolan was. So if you look out right here, just so you guys can get a perspective, you have the Horn Island here, but I want you guys to put this in your mind, what this was like on that day. You have boats 2, 3, 4 deep from way down there where you can see all the way through here. You have thousands of people on this island.
Okay, so I stand corrected. This is very much like a beach gulf. This is not like the islands that I go to here. So this is very possible that there is a current out there for that. Let's see. So about the layers of boats, that's how it is here too, with the amount of people, which is also so weird because you would think more people would see something or whatever. But all right, let's see what he's saying.
Island, probably 2,000 people. So this wasn't some abandoned, secluded island where nobody's at. Obviously, this is a Monday, and there's a few people on the backside of the island, not a lot of people here. But on 4th of July, this is a celebration. And so this wasn't a small place where 4 boys took their black friend and dropped him off and never seen him again. This place was flooded with people. Tons of people, multiple boats, multiple friend groups. I mean, everybody's here having a good time. And then the boat gets towed out because it was getting ready to sink. And so, and from what I was told, they told Nolan, get on the boat, man, get on the boat, get on the freaking boat. And he decided, because he's an adult, that he was going to stay behind. And all the boys that they've been accusing, and they saying it had something to do with his death, they were all gone at 4:30. They were all gone. And they told Nolan to get on the boat. He didn't. And then there was a report of somebody seeing Nolan around 6:30-ish. And so for them to come out and claim these lies, won't take the time to come to Horn Island, won't take the trip out here to figure out what happened, won't talk to anybody, pushing an agenda is wrong. And that's the reason why I came out here. I wanted to see for myself, what did this look like? What could have happened?
So good on him for doing this. This is very enlightening. I will say, it's not their job to do what authorities didn't do. Authorities should be doing this. Again, it's the authorities' job to clear the boys. They should have done that to begin with. Had they done their job, had they done an independent investigation, a thorough one, nobody would be pointing fingers. Also, I do agree with him. There's no racial thing here. Like, that's silly. And I do wonder about an agenda, just because of the press conference today. There's a lot of things I didn't like about it. It makes me uncomfortable. Some of the things that were said, you got to know your facts when you're coming out as an attorney for your clients. You got to know what's going on, and I don't know. So I'm with him on a lot of this, but also it's not their job. It's the authorities should just do their job when a death happens. But let's see. Danny said, the currents here in Texas are terrifying. I almost died in one when I was the same age as Nolan, doing the same thing as Nolan, and I played sports and swam regularly. Okay. This is great. Great insight from somebody who obviously experienced a current, same age, an athlete, avid swimmer. So I will say, this is totally different than I pictured this island being. This is totally different than the island down here or the other one that I went to that's a little further off, that I go to a lot. This is very much like the beach, just like a beach off of Pensacola, like the Gulf. So this is totally different than what I had pictured in my head. This guy is doing a better investigation than the authorities have done. So good on him. All right, let's see.
You know, does the stories line up based on what I've seen and what I've heard from people that live here that were involved in this situation? This is where the lie started. People were putting out on social media, knowing that they're lying, that this is what it was like on a day that Nolan and his friends came out here to Horn Island. And if it was 4 or 5 people and they came out here and Nolan was with them, and maybe it was a few people out here like it is today, and Nolan came up missing, then maybe it would be suspicious. But they didn't take the time to give context to the people because they're evil and they're liars. So if it was like that right now, when the situation happened, I can see how people had a concern. But you got to replay this moment with thousands of people here. If anything would have happened directly involving Nolan and his friends, you can't tell me that thousands of people wouldn't have seen anything happen. And so that's pretty much why I want to.
So I'll push back on this a little bit, because I don't think anyone is insinuating that something happened there with, first of all, there's no proof that anything happened with the kids. But I don't think anyone is thinking like in front of thousands of people there was something that happened. Like, the story is he went on the boat with them from the girl, right? So that's a conflicting story. The girl says he got on the boat with them and left. The boys say he never got on the boat. He was with a girl on the island. So I don't think this is actually 100% accurate either. There's like, I don't know. Okay, let's see.
come here and show you guys. This is what they want you to believe it was like on that day, which is a lie. They want you to believe they came to a secluded island, just 4 of them, and then Nolan is left behind, and then his body's washed up on shore, and nobody knows what happened. Nobody could have seen what happened but the boys. It's a flat out lie. Is there anything that you want to say, you want people to know about this whole experience?
Yeah, I mean, from someone, if someone's not from here, it's kind of hard to understand, you know, where the island drops off and how the island works. But, you know, there's plenty of people out here, especially on the 4th of July, you know, this is where people come out to celebrate. And I mean, if you film the water, you can see right here, Brandon, where it drops off. I mean, you can see literally where it drops off. So, I mean, it goes from about waist deep water right there to neck deep. And then it drops from neck deep all the way to like 17, 20 foot. I mean, we weren't even a quarter mile out the island and when we were leaving, and I mean, it was 30 foot of water. Yeah. So, I mean, if we're walking towards the east right now, but if you walk down to the west, that's where the west tip of the island is. And that's where the current picks up very, very bad.
People talk about the phone situation. I want to, because the way you articulate it, I just walk in the water with my pants, they're wet. And you can tell right away that if you're hanging out in the water, it doesn't appear, in my opinion, that you would have your phone on you. Is that typical for people to have their phones, or?
No, I mean, people come out here, especially on the 4th and, you know, Memorial Day, like, you know, days like that, they come out here to celebrate and people get on the water to be off their phones, first off. Second off, if I'm sitting waist deep in water and all my friends are, everybody's leaving their phone on a boat, in a lake, you know, if you're sitting on a pond, and no one's getting out of the water with their phone in their hand, unless, you know, it's to take a quick picture. But most of the pictures taken on the 4th of July were on the boat. Yeah. I mean, and, you know, salt water, if you drop your phone in salt water, most of the time you're not going to get it back. Yeah. I mean, you know, especially the water's murky right now because there's been a lot of rain. You can't see, the visibility isn't good. The water isn't clear like it was last year around this time. And, you know, like no one has their phone though, usually. I mean, unless you're crazy, I'm not walking around with my phone in my hand. They've been walking around Horn Island, you know.
How many people left the phone on the boat? Was it just his phone when y'all left, or I mean, other people have phones on the boat?
Absolutely not. Like there was at least, well, I rode out here on a different boat, like I told you, and I grabbed my phone when I left the Palm Beach to get on the boat with Triton. I mean, to get on the boat with Wyatt because we were having, you know, boat issues. And when I got on the boat, there was phones everywhere on the console. I mean, everywhere. Like, I mean, there was everybody's phone that was sitting around the boat was on the console. Like, we had phones that we didn't even know whose they were, you know, and people just leave their phone, especially when people are drinking and, you know, they're not in the right state of mind. A lot of people are like, oh, I'll just leave my phone and I'll get it later, you know, and that's the way it is around here. You know, you don't take your phone and walk around the island. You know, there's plenty of phones on the boat and, you know, spread out between the 3 boats that we had. And I mean, we had 20 plus people on the spread between our 3 boats.
So, I mean, all that tracks, right? Like what we were saying, you're not necessarily going to be having your phone on the water. Let's see. Yeah, that's the thing, you know, again, I do not blame the family whatsoever because they want answers, but the authorities have to do their part. They're the ones who need to investigate. This kid is handling him he's handling himself good on camera, I will say. Very, very good on camera. I like this a whole heck of a lot better than him sitting down having an interview. This to me is educational. I am learning things. I have a totally different view of the scene. This makes sense that he did this. I still don't like the interview parts, but this makes sense and it's good. It's good. It's good. That's when you're trying to find and figure out facts, you want facts, you want evidence, you don't want any of that. Seeing this is very impactful. Hi, Mia. All right, guys. Let's get back to this.
So of course, everybody's phone was on the. I never saw someone in the water that day, sitting with their phone in their hand, scrolling on anything, or even taking pictures in the water. Yeah, someone might hop out the boat. You know, a lot of girls like to take pictures, you know, in the water, and so do guys. But you know, girls want to take pictures in the water. Half a second, you might hop out the boat and be like, "Oh, I'm snapping this picture of myself or of someone else." But as soon as I get back in the boat, I'm putting my phone up and I'm getting back in the water and I'm hanging out with my friends.
Yeah, that's just common sense, man. I mean, and describe to me what the day was like. I saw a video online. How hectic was it out here? I mean, right now it's barren. There's not a lot of people out here,
Right.
but clearly that's not what it was on the 4th of July. So, like, how dense was it with people here?
Well, I mean, you look at all the videos, you know, that are spread out online, and a lot of them, you know, you can't believe what you see all the time online. You know that better than anybody. But I mean, there was boats lined up all the way down the island, and there was rows. There was a first row, there's a second row. We were in the third row where it drops off, and then there was even boats in front of us, and this went all the way down towards the east end of the island, and then there was people on the east tip, and we're on the north side now, but there was people on the south side too, lined up all the way down. And if you talk to anybody on the coast about this, they know that. I mean, 4th of July, this is the hot spot. This is where people want to be. This is where people want to come out, hang out with their family and friends. And
people say that you guys just left Nolan behind.
So you guys tell me, I haven't heard anyone say that. Maybe that's a thing, maybe online. I haven't heard anything like on any major networks or the attorneys for the family or anything saying this. I might not have heard it. I just haven't heard that. I have not heard anyone saying that this wasn't a hot spot, that there wasn't a lot of people out here, and that they left him. I'm just hearing that there's conflicting stories. But maybe you guys have heard what he's saying. I have not, though. All right, let's see what else.
I've seen reports of people saying that you just left him. I see reports of people saying that you asked him to get on the boat. You told him to get on the boat. He didn't. What's the truth in that?
Well, Wyatt was having boat issues and the bilge wouldn't pump. So the bilge is basically a pump that releases water from your boat when water comes in. So I opened the back hatch and there's water up to the batteries. And that is obviously not good. There's water almost coming over the transom, which is where your motors sit, and which is by the stern, like in the back part of the boat. So obviously we were in emergency. The boat, we're trying to save the boat. It's not like we didn't ask Nolan or we just left Nolan. Nolan decided to stay on the island with the girl that he was with, and the girl is a witness to that too.
Yeah. I'm glad you cleared that up, because I think it's important for people to have the context of like what it was on that day, what happened, what didn't happen. And the beauty of all of this is that you guys have evidence to prove that, of course, you asked Nolan to come on and different things like that. So, but anyway, man, I appreciate you,
yes, sir,
giving me a rundown of kind of what it was like on that day.
Right.
And hopefully people can understand what the truth is and make their own decision on facts.
Right. I mean, based off people, there's not a lot of people that are from the Mississippi Gulf Coast that don't understand Horn Island and don't understand the way boating works. And, boating is a tight-knit community. I like to fish a lot, and, there's, everybody, a lot of people know a lot of people. Everybody knows everybody. I know a lot of fishermen on the Gulf Coast. They know me and my buddies because we like to go in the water all the time. I mean, that's what we do in the summer. And, I mean, a lot of people.
He's a talker, this kid. The talker guy. All right.
From the Gulf Coast know the truth behind them. Oh, you don't take your phone out the boat. The little facts. It's a difficult subject. This Horn Island's like 11 miles long. Not to be exact, but around 11 miles long. It's not like this is a sliver of an island. It's a quarter mile. It's like a sandbar. No, this goes on to, even if we came around this corner right here, Brandon, we couldn't even see the end of the island.
Oh, really?
It's that long.
Really?
Yeah. I mean,
I thought that was the end right there.
No. I mean, it goes all the way down there, and I mean, it's a big island. There's a lot of people out here, and I mean, that's the truth. That's the way it was.
All right. Well, listen, I got more information from his video than I have got from the authorities there on any of this. So make sure you go sub and give him a like. I want to watch part 2 later on my own. Yeah, I know, Mia. I still don't like the fact that he sat down and did an interview. This thing right here, thought he handled himself really good. And this makes sense because we're learning something about the conditions, about the island. I can see why this would be something that they were like, okay, this could be a good thing. The sit down part, I still don't like it. I think you should have a lawyer and he should just not talk. Like, he doesn't owe the public anything. Again, the investigators owe everyone. This helps everyone if they just do their job. Family gets answers. These kids get, cleared or whatever. But just do an investigation, a thorough investigation. Helps everyone. Yeah, I know that, but you don't understand how many times I have seen the truth come back and bite someone because people twist it. And it's happening apparently because you're local down to that area, sort of kind of in Louisiana, you said. And people are going to twist it either way. But I don't like the sit down part. It makes me very nervous. Like, he doesn't have to prove anything to anyone. And you'll be surprised how people spin stuff or, clip it. It just makes me nervous. I'm very, very big on like, just don't say anything. Lawyer up, don't say anything. If the truth is the truth, it'll come out. You'll be cleared. But I like him here. I think he did a really good job in explaining the conditions and showing Officer Tatum here. I think this part made sense why he would do this. The interview still made me nervous, but yeah, this was good. This was good stuff, guys. All right. Well, yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I hope they did a good, thorough autopsy so that they can, have their own independent one, get some more answers from that first original one. And hopefully they took videos and pictures and things like that because the family deserves answers. These kids deserve answers. They were friends with him. They all deserve answers. So let's keep the public's eye on this case. I think that's the best that can happen because, it just needs to be a thorough investigation. And the fact that Tatum has the surveillance video from that house and, I don't know, but doesn't seem like the cops do. So again, step it up. So Karen Reed didn't heed that advice. Yeah. And it worked out okay for her. My heart goes out to this kid. Hopefully more people see the guy's videos too. Yeah, absolutely. But those clips from, I don't know, those clips from the second trial, though, some of them they didn't make her look very good. Even though she was innocent and has every right to talk. Some of those clips are a little cringe. But I get your point. This case looks fishy at first glance, and Officer Tatum probably has put more work into this case than the cops have. But the ocean and even the coastline can be harsh. We need evidence. Absolutely. That was another thing. I didn't like them saying We talked to them about putting this before a grand jury. You have nothing yet to put before a grand jury in the press conference today. Like, you need something. You have nothing right now. So again, they're putting the cart before the horse. Like, to your point, slow down, do an actual investigation. There is no evidence of anything. Now, there's some things that don't make sense to me still. This video didn't clear everything up. But to your point, Officer Tatum has more information, put more work into it than the authorities have. That's a problem. I still have questions. There's still things that don't make sense. Even, this kid right here is saying the girl knows that he was here with her, but she's saying something else. So there's just conflicting stories. Things don't add up. Doesn't mean that anything nefarious happened, but there's no evidence. Like, what are you putting before a grand jury? Like, there's zip. Anyways, that just popped in my head, and I remembered like that was said. What exactly are they presenting to the grand jury? It's an excellent question to start. Right. Like, there isn't anything. Like, literally nothing. They need to do an investigation. Like, you don't just present stuff to the grand jury without an investigation. They're like skipping that step. So, again, I just hope that another entity outside of that county comes in and does an independent investigation, and then that's that. Whatever they find, they find. But everyone is owed that. Every person involved, every person that was on that island that day is owed that, because it sounds like it's a smaller town. They probably all knew him. Everyone deserves to know, or at least come close to knowing it. We may not have all the answers. I think Junior said something about with alcohol, you may not ever get those answers, but you can come close, and they all deserve that. So the facts are the facts. Wherever they take you, whether, it proves someone's innocence, whether it proves that there was something funky going on, you go where the facts lead you. So I'm literally just learning about this case tonight. Somebody knows something. Yeah, I mean, and that's the thing. With that many people, you would expect someone to have seen something. Doesn't mean it can't happen, but it's the more eyes there, the more likely that somebody saw something. I don't know, but again, I would want to know every boat. They have a lot of work to do. So I hope that they're actually getting started on it, because they have a lot of work to do. I would want to know every boat. And it sounds like, this kid knows a lot of what he's talking about boating, about the people that were there, like in the vicinity of them, that he could aid them in finding the people that were around to talk to. But I would want to know, and I would want to talk to everybody that was anywhere near the vicinity of that boat, where Nolan was that day, or even where the girl was that day, where all the boys were. You have so many people to talk to. Like, they really need to hopefully be getting on this. So, I don't know what they're looking into. That's the whole thing, Mia, is basically the sheriff came out and said, this is looks like an accidental drowning. There's no foul play here. And the family's like, what? Like, no, that doesn't say, like, do an investigation. And that's where, like, the attorneys got involved and all of that to try to get attention to the case and say, like, we want an independent investigation. We don't really know what happened. We don't know who they're looking at. And that's the thing, is that they're not being very transparent or telling the public much of anything. So certainly they're not going to tell anything that they have anyways, but you want some sort of a transparency, especially when you come out and say nothing to see here, no foul play, an hour after his body was found. That also is not good. So hopefully they're looking to everyone, because they would be doing everyone a disservice if they're not looking into them and clearing them. Hopefully they're doing something, but they're not really telling anybody what they're doing. So yeah, that was funky, wasn't it? Yikes. Thank you, Chelsea Diaz, gifting the 250 gem. So I think you guys see it. I didn't get to see it, but hopefully it was good. I love when they come up on the screen when I'm watching other like shows. They're very cute. Thank you so much, Chelsea. Sometimes the authorities get in such a tizzy and get info out and misspeak causes so many issues. Yeah, I don't know, but if I was his parents, I would be doing whatever I could to get as many eyes on the case too. So I think, and I've heard that like people are going hard at the parents too. That's not fair either. Like I can't imagine what they're going through. So I just think everyone needs to calm it down. There's, as long as they're having an independent investigation done and they're actually doing that now, we just need to wait, be patient. Certainly there's some things that don't add up, but there's also things that could make them add up. So we just need to get to that part. Sorry, it made me redeem some jewels. I don't even know what's going on. Sorry. No, you're not disruptive. I don't see anything. It just comes up. But I always know when I'm watching people's channels and the little things come up, they're very cute. I like them. You do not need to be sorry, Chelsea. Thank you. For those of you who are new here, and I think there are some people, because I do pretty well at remembering people's screen names. Please make sure to subscribe and to set your notifications so that you get alerted when we go live. Sometimes I just go live at, a 15-minute notice, and that's that's all I get. So if the little bell is there, then you'll be alerted. But we have a really good tribe here. We have a great chat, very interactive, and we are a growing channel. So thank you for being here if you're new. Let's see. Nona said that's that right where it started everything off wrong and it made it suspicious. Right. Yes. And he's got to own that, right? Like he represents that department. If he's got to own that. You investigate every death as if there's something suspicious until it's proven that it's not. That's just how it works. So I don't know. He's got to own that part, and they're conflicted off this case. They have no business in this case. So in my opinion, a different department just needs to come in and handle it, and they need to be hands completely off. Let's see. KY Granny saying, heck no, leave the parents alone. They are living a nightmare. Yeah, exactly. JR says, as a parent, I would definitely tell my kids not to speak to the police without a lawyer, innocent or not. Also, if it was my deceased child, I would be doing the same thing as the victim's parents. Yeah. And I think that's, like if we look at it very objectively, all of the things you're saying is for everyone's protection. I would never, and I've said this before. We streamed a trial not too long ago, but it changed my whole perception of talking to the police. Like if you're innocent, before there was a time I was like, if you didn't do anything, you have nothing to hide. You're helping them, right? I've seen it be twisted and false confessions come out of it. I've seen so many things. So I just have a completely different viewpoint now as I did like 10 years ago. I just don't think it's a good idea. This little part on the beach, I actually thought he did a great job. I don't have an issue with that. The sit down parts make me nervous. So I'm still with you on that. Like I wouldn't want him talking. But yeah, you can feel for everyone in this case. You really can. And there's no evidence of anything on any side. There's things that still don't add up, but like that's going to happen when you haven't had a thorough investigation. There's going to be things that don't add up. So we need that to be able to say, what, or have an idea of what happened. Yes, Mia, I will keep covering it. I just started covering it. And then today happened with more stuff, so I decided to hop on and talk about it quickly, and it turned into a 2-hour live stream. So yeah, I'll definitely keep up with it. I'll be doing some of the Clancy case as well. It's a hard case. For those of you who don't know, I'm on Court TV pretty regularly. I weighed in on that case last week. It's gonna be a hard one. I'm not gonna be covering like gavel to gavel by any means. But certain days, certain witnesses, like opening statements, I plan to cover on that one as well. I think that one will be another big one. And then there's just some other cases that interest me too. But right now, this one's got my attention. And so yeah, we'll definitely be keeping up with it. It could have been anyone. Thousands of people were on the island, and there's evidence Nolan was seen alive after his friends left, according to Tatum. Right. And certainly, like, that's why they want people to come forth with photos, because they have timestamps, they have the metadata. All of that exonerates these kids that were on the boat, right? So that's important for everyone. And it's one step closer to finding out what happened. Wherever the facts take you, that's where you go. It's that simple, but you have to do the work. Okay, you have watched many of my videos and been enjoying. Okay, well, thank you. Thank you, Mia. We're glad to have you. That's what I'm saying. We have a great tribe, and we're growing, and we have a great little community here. It is great. I'm sorry to sound contradictory, but I like to see both sides of the story. You don't have to apologize. We welcome all opinions here. Doesn't mean we're always going to agree on stuff, but all opinions are welcome. And that's your juror that both sides would want. You see both sides of the story. That's a good thing. That is a good thing. That is, where a lot of times we like to put ourselves like in the 13th juror position to like what we would be thinking or whatever. And that's exactly what both sides would want, is for you to look at both sides. And that's a great thing. Okay, it could have been an undertow. It could have been a wave that overcame him. A jellyfish sting. It could have been a bunch of things. Yeah. I mean, I think for me, the rip current, after seeing that, I was like thinking it was totally different conditions. The islands I go to here don't look like the actual Gulf. Like that looks like a beach, like on the Gulf. So that video is very telling and was very educational. Jeno says sometimes the gifts come up in the middle of your screen when you're not expecting, and you might think it's a giant bug and you might throw your phone. I don't think I've ever thrown my phone. That's a little alien for me. A little Lisa. Remember when Lisa threw her phone across the room because she was so upset at something that was not wasn't the least bit worth that. That's where I always go when I hear that now. Heard of people getting stung in the chest by jellyfish and affecting their heart. It's crazy. Yeah, I mean, you'd have to be stung by like a real bad jellyfish. I mean, most jellyfish stings like gross, but like it's not. And there's ones that definitely could do that, but most jellyfish that are, again, I don't know this area, but for me in the Gulf, like here, it's now we do get man of wars and things like that, but I've never had anybody I know get stung by them. They're very, I mean, you can see them. Those things stand out like a red sore thumb. So actually Googled those stupid gems today, and apparently it gives you a creator rubies, which equal money. But I wasn't clear on the money to rubies. I have no idea, but they're cute. I think they're cute. I like watching there's like a turtle one that's like chugging water. And it's cute. And I always was like, oh, he's so cute when it comes up on like another creator's stream and I'm watching. Okay. KY Granny says Court TV is where I first saw you. We won't say how long ago that was. Your secret's safe with me, KY Granny. I'm not gonna lie, I love Reddington in action. He is good. He is great, and I'm glad she has him. I really am. Really, really glad. He's a good advocate, and he's a good attorney. I hate that he was John McCabe's attorney, but I like him. He's good. Okay, but to be fair, Lisa was reacting to information. I was in fear for my life. Totally different. Now, if I only had something to throw when it was a spider, maybe, but I'd still see if there was a shoe somewhere. Spiders are the only thing that like I'm scared of. I don't play. I don't play when it comes to spiders. Snakes, I'm fine. Spiders, I don't play with them. It's not, that thing should not have that many legs. No. That's not normal. Yeah, the Man of War ones are wicked for sure. All right. Well, guys, I stayed on way longer than I thought I was going to do. But I'm glad we did this. I'm glad I have a different perspective of the actual scene of where this happened. It seems a lot more probable that someone could drown in this situation. There still needs to be an independent, thorough investigation. But this definitely gave me a different perspective of what I was thinking. For sure. So this is great. I'm glad we got together to talk about it. And thanks for coming and hanging out with me, guys. We will keep up on it if there's any like major developments and stuff. We will do another stream and I'll be live sometime in the future, probably Friday. So let's see if Baker, I don't know if Baker, let me see if Baker's still alive. Go over there and give him a raid. Let me check. Doesn't look like it. No. Oh, yes, he's still watching. Okay, guys, go over to Broken Baker. If I knew how to send you there, I would send you there. Go over to Broken Baker and tell him CSI raid. And I will see you in the comments because I'm going to go over and check out the stream as well. Broken Baker, see you there. Love you guys. Bye.